Nancy and I are super excited about our first two guests on today's Big Blend Radio Nature Connection show. We have Dave Tilley, the co-founder of Living Canopies, which is an innovative company that creates the living umbrella. We're talking pure flower power. It's awesome. It's the world's first and only patio-styled umbrella that uses flowering plants, especially mandevilla, to shade and protect people naturally. So it's like the place to have wine. It's perfect. Or your morning coffee, watch hummingbirds is awesome. And we also have longtime Big Blend expert Adam Roberts joining us. He is the executive director of Bethesda Green. It's an awesome organization based out of Maryland, and they're focused on building a sustainable economy locally with a focus on innovation, impact, and community. It's very cool.
We need them to expand across the country.
I know. Well, we're doing things. Everyone, I encourage you to go to BethesdaGreen.org, and also go check out this flower power. Go to livingcanopies.com. So welcome back, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for having Dave. I'm excited about your New Mexico trip. I mean, I'm jealous as hell, but I'm very excited for you guys.
Have you been to Gallup? Because it's been on my bucket list to go to Gallup, New Mexico.
I haven't, but I'm so inspired now. I'm going to have to add it.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be interesting. It's like movie star land because that's where all these westerns were filmed. So, Nancy and I might become cowgirls.
That would be funny.
But it's okay. We'll get vegan cowboy boots. Is that okay? Is that the way you want us to go,
Thank
Adam?
You. I appreciate that.
Or
at least reuse them. Buy used, and then it's just fine.
Okay, we'll do that. Very excited to have you on the show, Dave. Welcome, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, we love your flower power. It's super cool. And I have to ask about this story of how you created this, because there's two things Nancy really hates about gardens, and she loves gardens, trust me, is when people use mulch that is rock and pebbles that is, that really just actually gives off heat out here in the desert Southwest where we are now, and then people using Bounce in laundry because it stinks. So those are the two things she hates. But it seems that you understand about that heating effect of what happens in the desert Southwest when you get hot and there's no plants.
Yeah, that's right. The origin of the idea was on a pool deck in Las Vegas back in 2015. I was on a family vacation, had the in-laws, the kids, everybody, and we decided to go kind of rest and relax at a nice fancy Las Vegas pool there on the Vegas Strip. Got out to the pool deck, and there was absolutely zero umbrellas. There was hardly any shade, and I was just miserable. It was like 115 degrees, clear blue sky, sun's beating down. And I looked off in the corner, and there was this one little tree in a pot. It was probably about 10 feet tall, and there must have been about 20 people huddled around it trying to fit under the shade that it was casting. And at that point, I just thought to myself, why don't we put plants on umbrellas?
Ooh, so simple.
Yeah.
So cool.
And it's pretty. So these umbrellas, I mean, this is not your typical beach umbrella, right? Because when I look at even when we had our place in Tucson, we had all these different umbrellas, and we had as many plants as we could, but we never thought of, incorporating the two. Some of that cloth actually just, you can get holes burnt in it, and I wonder about the cloth versus a plant, like if it's more protective and cooler to have plants than that cloth.
That's right, yeah. The most of the cloth that's used today, the fabric, is a nylon-based fabric, so they will last a really long time. Longer than the older cloth, cotton-based fabrics. So, in our measurements here in our labs, we found that those fabric canopies can get upwards of 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit on a nice, clear, sunny day, whereas the plant canopy is basically going to be at air temperature. So if it's 92 degrees outside, the canopy is at 92 degrees. And the difference that makes to a person is based on our testing, about 8 degrees cooler. The person feels about 8 degrees cooler sitting under a living umbrella than they would if they're sitting under a fabric umbrella.
Plus, you get birds.
Yeah, I know that you've got mandevilla,
right.
And Hummingbirds,
awesome.
that's one of the top plants to grow for hummingbirds. And once it starts, I know friends who grow it out in Southern California, man, and once it starts, man, it's like you've got hummingbird central, you've got flower power central, even bees like it, but not. But it seems to be Mandevilla, not like where you're going to get like Africanized bees come in and take you out. This is good stuff. You know what I mean? So when I say bees, I don't want to freak people out.
Now, our experience has been the Mandevilla, as I like to call it, but some people call it Mandevilla. I guess you can go either direction. It doesn't really attract too much in terms of the bees, the honeybees or the bumblebees, but definitely the hummingbirds pollinate. That's kind of one of its natural pollinators. And then there's actually a moth called the hummingbird moth
Cool.
that is native to the tropics where it's from that pollinates it.
Yes, I love those moths. And it's always like, psych, you think it's a hummingbird, but it's not. So I love this, and I want to talk more about it, but I want to get back to Adam here. And Adam, if you can give everybody a little overview about Bethesda Green, and then how Bethesda Green is connected with Dave and what he's doing with Living Canopies.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for that, and thanks, Dave, for that introduction. I was thinking about your Las Vegas story. I know nothing of that because when I'm in Las Vegas, of course, I'm just in a cabana, and I've got misters and fans, and so I'm living a terrible, unenvironmental life for the few days that I go out there. So I think you've got the happy compromise where you can actually be outside and enjoy nature at the same time that you're out there. But no, thanks, Lisa and Nancy. Bethesda Green, yeah, it's an amazing local organization just outside Washington D.C. That, as you said, is focused on the circular economy, the sustainable economy, trying to show that environmental protection and advancing environmental causes is actually compatible with business generation as opposed to being in tension with business generation. And I think all too often when people in general hear about environmental protection, they think that's somehow a threat to the economy, that if we're trying to protect the planet, that's somehow going to be contrary to economic development. What Bethesda Green does is try and incorporate multiple pillars of work to show that these things are compatible. So on the one hand, we're doing community projects at the local level to make sure there are recycling bins throughout the community, working with local high school students on environmental science projects to help mentor them and guide them so that we can cultivate the next generation of environmental leaders. And then we're also incubating new startup businesses like Dave's, like Living Canopies, that have this concept of sustainability and environmental focus. Again, showing that we can really build these 21st century businesses that generate 21st century jobs and a new economy in a way that's environmentally compatible. So that is one of the big exciting parts of the job for me, because as you know from our conversations over the years, my mind and my work has always been around advocacy and campaigning and trying to advocate for positive change. At the political level, at the government level, and drilling it down to business is so interesting. I think on the one hand, because when you're pushing for environmental protection, being able to have this component to your work takes away that argument from other people that we can't advance the environmental agenda because that will somehow be economically detrimental. But also, there's really cool stuff to show the world and really innovative and genius products that are out there. And I always say when I talk about the businesses, the startups that are in our Green Incubator program, that the thing that I know most about these products, which says to me that the program is a really good one, is that I want these products, right? These are things that I'm looking to acquire for myself. And so we've got about a half a dozen companies like Dave's that are in the program right now, and the goal is to get them fully launched and make sure that they can be self-sustaining and long-term growing businesses. And I think that'll, Dave's is definitely going to be one of the first ones out of the gate. So really exciting stuff. And you mentioned, just to finish up the introduction, you mentioned at the beginning, we got to sort of take what Bethesda Green is doing and spread it, spread that kind of work, that kind of message. And I think that's the key, right? The things that we're doing locally in the D.C. area is going to be replicable, and it can happen, in any community. And we can keep growing these communities, thinking about sustainability and environmentalism all around the country. And when you take it collectively, it'll make a real difference. So it's exciting work, and we've got good people behind us. So I'm really excited about what the rest of the year is going to hold for us.
I think that is exciting. I love that you said, the circular business, circular economy, where that just shows true sustainability, and when I think of just here using the example of these living canopies, the flower-powered umbrella, that's what I'm calling it. It's like, listen, wine time must have flowers, okay, period.
Absolutely.
And we know that. That's why we, hike with wine, because hummingbirds like wine and flowers. So this is really cool. I look at this, we talked about this, as we travel the country, a lot of the hotels and the tourism shows, and you've been on some of those with us, it's about sustainability. And, this living umbrella is one of those examples that can be, and I've looked at a lot of the photos on your website, Dave, where there's restaurants and hotels using this to not only beautify their property, but they're investing in something really cool. And so that's going to make an effect. I think if you're cooling down an area, and a lot of people started doing this, I look at downtowns. One of the very first things they do when they revitalize a downtown, one of the first projects is beautification through flower baskets. And now I'm going, wait, we can have umbrellas as flower baskets where people can sit down. So I think you could have, it'll take time, but eventually like a cooling effect, don't you think, Dave? Like a microclimate. You get it back to where it was. So it can really change the country.
Yeah, basically, plants are using water, and when they use that water, they're releasing it through their leaves, which provides that cooling power, which, a lot of these artificial materials can't do that. So definitely having vegetation, having plants, having that flower power, especially in these hardscape environments like the urban environments, is going to have an effect. It definitely is going to require, adding a lot of vegetation. You can kind of look towards like DC in our local area where we are. They have what's called a green area ratio. So when you start a new development, a real estate development, you actually have to meet a certain ratio of greenness in your property before they'll grant you a permit. So there's movements in other cities, I think, to do similar types of activities.
Oh, this is awesome. And then when you look at, you've got, people having them at their own house, right? And then you've got the, commercial entities. Even I think businesses need to have more outdoor areas for people to eat. The white, what's that? The cubicle lunchroom thing sucks compared to being outside. That big white light, like you feel like you're going into Walmart or something. That's not as nice as being outside. But, some of the things I'm thinking of immediately, I look at some of our hotel friends, and they're going to go, okay, well, are the leaves and the flowers going to get in the pool? Those kind of things. What is it like in regards to sustaining these? And, I was reading on your website that even wind doesn't seem to knock them out too bad or anything.
Yeah, so I'll unpack that a little bit. Basically, in terms of the maintenance, these things are the irrigation system that we have for them is automatic, and it's solar powered, and basically it makes it so that you can move your umbrella around on a patio anywhere you wanted. So one of the main pieces of maintenance is just filling up a 5-gallon water tank that's at the bottom of the umbrella about every 5 to 7 days, so roughly about once a week. That's kind of the major piece of maintenance. The other would be, once it's installed, making sure the canopy is just kind of growing nicely. If you get any kind of strong winds, you might have to kind of just rearrange the plants a little bit early on. But once they kind of get taking off, they usually hold up well. And we have seen windstorms come through the areas where we have them deployed, and 35-mile-per-hour winds don't seem to bother them at all. You contrast that with a regular fabric umbrella. You have to put those things down when it gets about, something like 12 or 15 miles per hour before they start blowing away and becoming dangerous objects. So the maintenance is, as long as you keep the watering it, over a certain period of time, you have to add a little bit of fertilizer to the soil. The soil is located up at the top of the umbrella, so that's might be a little bit of a challenge for some folks, but not too insurmountable. But yeah, I think the customers that we had, they love them. So we have had them at these restaurants and a couple of hotels, and it's a great way for them to engage their guests, is what we're hearing as well. Staff working there, the wait staff love to have something to talk about with the patrons there, eating at the restaurant or hanging out at the pool decks. So it's really nice kind of conversation starter as well.
Can we grow other plants on there? Like, what happens? Because now I already went into, I want to, have, passion fruit and
honeysuckle
and tomatoes, and I want to start hanging. I want, a hanging vegetable garden suddenly. I don't know why, but it suddenly just comes to mind that we could have grapes and make our own wine off of these umbrellas. That would be fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, any kind of vining species would be things that work the best. Like you said, honeysuckle, grapes, hops for making beers, another vine type of species. There's clematis, which comes in all kinds of colors.
That's beautiful.
Like you said, other edible stuff like green beans and snap peas, cucumbers, strawberries, tomatoes. So if you want to go an edible route.
Do you think this could be put in schools?
It should be in.
It's funny, we had some schools call us early on to ask us for samples. We just weren't prepared at that point to deploy them, but we definitely would like to explore that more. So if there's schools out there that want to have something like this to play around with, it's got a little bit of technology in terms of how it controls the irrigation, and then it's got the horticultural aspect and what you can grow and what will grow well on it. So yeah, it'd be fun for students, I think, to play around with them and learn.
There's we go to local gardens here in Yuma, and I think they should have them.
Yeah, it would grow
here.
Wouldn't
it be nice?
Oh my gosh, the Mendavia here.
Oh yeah.
Everything grows here in Yuma. I mean, literally everything grows here. But the other thing would, like I was saying at the beginning there too, that well, not the beginning, but about the cafeteria, it's like go outside. And I feel like this takes that step towards. I know a lot of people are doing vertical gardens. And the hospitals are starting to realize that they need to have more plants like that. So do you think that this could go into some of those, major corporation, those huge office buildings and start to, I think they should all have native plant gardens to begin with because they have space there and they need to balance off what they're doing. So we should have native plant gardens and monarch way stations, so we can get our pollinators back. But then you could have these umbrellas, so you can have a nice little eating area or a meeting area because people will think better if they're outside. And I think this can encourage people to go outside more than what they do.
Yeah, we've had some great stories. So we had a couple at a vineyard here in Virginia, and the owners, just a few weeks after I had installed it, the work staff, that works in the vineyards for them, lives across the street, and they said once they finish up their work, all these years, they just go home and at 6 o'clock, they have dinner, and they never see them again until the next morning. But once we put up the umbrellas, that family actually went home, cleaned up, and then came back and just wanted to relax under the living umbrella. And the owner, when she was telling me this, she actually had tears in her eyes. She was so moved that it had that effect on people that she loved, So, yeah, I think, we have this nature deficit just in general in the United States, and having people more exposed to nature in different ways. That's kind of like our mantra, is just to introduce them to different ways of experiencing, the beauty of flowers in different situations.
I love this. I think it's very exciting. How do people get them? Especially, I know that locally in your area, in Maryland and D.C. area, Bethesda, that it's probably easier. But what happens with people here on the West?
Well, we can ship to anywhere in the United States. So last year we went back to the drawing board, redesigned our model so that we could put it in a few boxes. Came up with a set of instructions. So if you are just a tiny bit handy, you can put the umbrella together, and then go to your local garden center or other nursery and get your mandevilla or whatever vine that you wanted to grow on it, and you'd be ready to go. You can go to our website and order it, or if you have questions about it, I answer the phones. So if people out there have questions, they can call me and I'll give them all the answers
You answer a
possibly
phone?
can.
Wow. You know how many people don't answer phones anymore? Like, I love
they
that.
walk around with them, but they don't answer them.
No, I love that. I love that. But do you see this going into, or do you want it to go into, like, hardware stores and those kind of things, or do you see it going more online with, because the world's changing, and it seems like even box stores are going more like they don't want you to buy things in the store anymore. I don't know. It's interesting right now.
Well, we actually have a few at garden centers across the country. We have a few one in Denver, in Oklahoma, up in Wisconsin and Michigan, and they are trying to sell it from their stores. You know, we're kind of in a trial period with them, but we also have the ability to sell it directly, which helps control the cost, but makes it a little more difficult maybe to get the plants. So the nice thing about having them at garden centers is they could have the plants there for you and match up the plants with the umbrella right there on site for you. So you can kind of go either way. So we're exploring both at this point. That's part of the being in the incubator with Adam at Bethesda Green. That's part of the kind of the challenge we've had over the last few months is to really figure out what's the best way to get this out to customers.
That's what I wanted to touch on, Adam. Can you go in a little bit more in depth of what that means for those listening that may go, hey, we want to come to Bethesda Green, we need help, So what are some of the steps that happen? And I mean, are you helping secure funding, or is it the business plan?
Yeah, so the way I like to try and look at it is that we're basically a mentor, right? We have a mentor opportunity, and we're guiding these what I call eco entrepreneurs, these smart startup business folks who are really visionary in the way they're looking at the products that they're developing and trying to get to market, and then not just trying to get them to market, but get it to market and then scale so that they can keep growing and growing, like we've been talking about just now. And so what we do is we provide this kind of year-long curriculum where folks can go through this program and learn everything that they need to know about getting in a startup business and how to make that business launch and grow, find access to investors and how to build marketing plans and business plans, just everything that will allow somebody to take an idea from the beginning stage to the place where they're ready to launch and then grow, and try and get them there and provide the mentors in all of these different aspects of startup business cultivation that folks need. And then, there's really, just like in any business where you start the business and then you need to see the profitability, you need to see the business grow, you can tell how many units of whatever product it is that's being sold, and that's a good sign of success. At Bethesda Green, we're able to watch the businesses that we're cultivating and see how they're growing and show that the program works. And, as we were just talking, as I was listening to you all talk about how exciting Dave's product is and how widespread the potential market is for this product, right? This is easily nationwide. And I was just thinking about, everything you were talking about, just thinking about every hotel around the country that has an outdoor area, and that this is the kind of product, I was thinking about all of these electric scooters that people can rent, and, you just grab it through an app and then you go, or even electric cars, how a few years ago these were very specialized items, right? Niche items. A few people had electric cars, and now they're sort of everywhere. And I think the living umbrella is the same kind of concept, right? Like there will be some places where that is an attraction, and people will start to talk about the restaurant that has the tables under the living umbrellas, or the hotel that has all those living umbrellas by the pool, and we want to go there. And then after a while, everybody's going to want these things, right? Because it's going to be so highly sought after and so cool, and people are going to start to say, how come you don't have the living umbrellas? Why would I want to be here when I could be at the place that has those cool things to sit under? And it'll really spread, or at least, that's certainly my expectation and my hope. So yeah, we've got a number of really cool businesses going through the program right now. I think in the summer we're going to launch a new call for businesses to join the next cohort of businesses to incubate, and hopefully get a handful, maybe a half a dozen or more, to start in the fall. So it's all available. Obviously, there's information at BethesdaGreen.org, and we can get folks to apply and hopefully get them in the cohort for the next round. So yeah, there's some really cool opportunities, and it's obviously very exciting.
I just want to go back to what you were saying about people wanting to go where there's an umbrella like that, right? The flower power.
Yeah.
This is something that, some of the shows we've done and some of the things we cover even on our tour, I would love, as a person who travels and goes and wants to make the choice that, hey, someone's taken that step, I would love to see the tourism industry and even the retail industry, I mean, that's all connected, but at public places that have these umbrellas to be on a map, so that we can go to the map and go, oh, I'm going to go sit there.
Exactly.
It's kind of what we've learned just, with our tour. We're putting all the parks on a map and, with the photo and a little write-up, and it gives people that little marketability, too, that have purchased it. And that's how Tesla did it. And Tesla is here at the hotel we're at, the historic Coronado Motor Hotel. Got to give them a shout-out. Tesla came here years ago when it first started, and Elon Musk actually came, and Johnny, the hotel owner, actually went for a drive with Elon Musk here at the hotel. and because this hotel historically is one of the very first Best Westerns in the country, and they no longer are because they wanted to keep their identity, and the chain was moving in a different direction than what they were. And anyway, they have a hotel and a restaurant here, and both of them have bike racks for our friend Jim out there. And car charging stations. And this was something, it was about having it on the map there, not only because of the Best Western history, but also because they're right off the interstate and close to the downtown. So people come here according to their cars, and this has been here since we've been covering Yuma, like 20. I'm going to say 20 years. No kidding. Right from the beginning, and now it's becoming a norm. But for people traveling cross country and interstates, it wasn't, and so they did it all by map. And so that's just saying. I'd like to see that. I want the flower power map. The flower power map.
Yeah.
Come on, Dave.
All right, you gave me some great ideas here. I got some homework to do now.
I know. Have fun with those maps.
I love it.
Time. It takes time, but it's cool.
But it's cool because then people who are into that, which every downtown we go into, we see space for more beautification.
Every botanical garden needs it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Botanical gardens, there's so many of those. And what a great display this can make.
I know. I'm just, my mind, I love seeing products like this because it's positive, it's flower powered, it's colorful, it's educational, and it just is it's just all the way around a good deal. I want to go back to you, Adam, because you were talking about bringing these businesses, going into the incubator. Now I feel like we're like little baby chickens, but when you say incubator, can't help it. But what about, is it only for people that are in Bethesda, or are you working with people from other parts of the country, or people that may move? Like when you think about Silicon Valley, I know we touched on that the first time you came on about Bethesda Green. Like, do you want to be like the Bethesda Green, like Silicon Valley? Do you want to see that kind of thing happen?
So the answer is yes, and then more, right? So the key for us, right, the organization was founded back in 2007 and really launched in 2008 to make Bethesda a more livable community, a sustainable community where, you have these great businesses and all of this access to green space and environmentally sensitive practices throughout the community. And what I think we're starting to see now is that two things. One is we want to keep that going, right? We want Bethesda to be this genuine hub of sustainability, and that's why, the curriculum is performed here. People actually sit in our conference room. All of the eco entrepreneurs come and they go through the program on site at our office, and they have office space. So, if you're a startup business and you don't have the revenue or the investment money to have your own office, you can use our offices for free as part of the program. So we're really trying to maintain Bethesda as this hub of green and sustainability focused activity. So that part of it is definitely hyper local, focused on Bethesda. However, I think what you see with Living Canopies, with what Dave is doing, that those products are going to go nationwide, right? So he's got the capacity to use Bethesda as his base through Bethesda Green, but then sell his products anywhere in the country. And at some point, he could have offices or outfits set up all around the country. And I think little by little, we might be able to expand our impact depending on the trajectory of the organization over time when we see an appetite for this model to be replicated in other communities around the country. And I think that will eventually happen, probably organically one way or the other. I don't think you can stop it the way the world is going, right? People are going to want to spread. So the key is to get all of these really smart, talented, innovative entrepreneurs to come to Bethesda, be a part of the Bethesda Green project in terms of the business incubation side, but then make sure that the things that we're cultivating and the businesses that they're generating have a real national scope. It's not just about serving the local community, and I think that's going to happen. And because Bethesda Green is focused on sustainability and environmentalism, and we want all of these businesses to have some connection there, right? The living Canopies sort of tagline is about connecting people to nature, and that's exactly what these umbrellas do. That's the goal of all of the work that we're doing. It's about connecting people to nature, businesses to nature, and I think more and more folks are realizing now, with everything that's going on, climate change in the news all the time, all of these really sort of eye-opening experiences around the country right now, around the world, related to climate change and the need for a new round of environmental protection like we had in the early 70s, these kinds of businesses are going to be all the more vital, highly sought after, because people are going to want to be focused on buying things that are sustainable, that are good for the planet, and that actually give back to the planet. And that's what some of these products actually do. So yeah, I think hyperlocal at the moment in terms of the way that we do the business, the way that we perform our fundamental core activities, but national scope in terms of the reach of what happens because these businesses are successful and incubated through our work.
I love that. Yeah, because it's getting the model down too. And what it's act local and it will go global. It really will. I mean, it is about everyone's connected too in some way. We're in that world, So I see this just going like a wildfire. I don't want to use those words, but you know what I mean. It's moving forward. And I think the other thing is what I love about it is that it is something. It's putting the small business on a pedestal, because I feel like small business. I mean, we can say that as independence, an independent business. I mean, I remember when we first got to this country from South Africa, 20-something years ago, and, it was like 49% of America's backbone of business was small business. This was 93, 94. Now, no, it's not. And yet there's a lot of doors open because of the Internet. So there's a lot of little businesses out there doing Etsy's and things like that. But at the same time, we're fighting this big battle against the big giants. And I feel like when we can work together as small business communities and organizations like what you're doing with Bethesda Green, that we have this fighting chance of still having a place in industry. And the fact that it's green on top of it is even better. But I think we really have to unite as small businesses, because the big boxes, I mean, they just buy each other out and then it becomes a monopoly. You look at even a hosting company now, they're all owned by the same group at the end of the day. Yeah. When you go and you look through everything, it's like oil companies, same thing. And Adam, I'm getting close. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
They all end up being the same company at the end of the day. And so for me, I just look at this going, this is so important as a small business owner that we unite and work together and keep our place. I feel it's like women's rights. I feel that way. It's like that's how important it is. Do you feel that way, Dave, as a small business owner going through this, that you can't just do it on your own? You got to have a network.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the network is just so critical to our success. From day one, just being able to talk to people who had started multiple businesses, getting their insight, talking to all kinds of professionals from, attorneys, accountants, marketing professionals. And then that's basically the core of the network that Bethesda Green has brought me into. Once a week we're in the classroom for 8 hours, and we're hearing about how to market, or how to do your accounting, how to do your taxes, how to write your business plan. And there's just so much power in that network, and just, being able to talk to people and have a conversation about what you're doing. And it's critical. I mean, I'd put that at the very top of things that you have to be able to do to really get a small business off the ground and to be able to scale it at a national level.
Yeah, the scaling part's difficult. That's the tricky part. You get it, and you're like, okay, dude, do I go for it? You know, because that's yeah, you know, it's that navigation part. It gets tricky. But oh man, well, we wish you all the best, and we're definitely going to talk about you everywhere we go. We're going to be like, hey, you need one. You need a living canopy. You need the Flower Power umbrella.
Yeah, I've already got it. I'm scoping out properties now and looking. Hey, you got an umbrella? Change it.
I know.
Come on.
Okay. Do you think down the road you'll go like into gazebos and things like that, or are you going to stick with the umbrella? Or should I ask that in another few years?
No, we definitely have an itch to expand the product line. I think, you know, there's also a movement just in homes that have more outdoor space and outdoor room. People are really spending more and more money on their outdoor furniture. So we see there's a demand in that area. So we definitely are going to, you know, we'd love everything to have a living component to it. Everything you sit on, stand under, stand next to, step on, you know, whatever the case may be. If we can get that to be a little piece of green, then we're achieving our goal of making the world a little greener, one leaf at a time, or one flower at a time, I should say.
Yeah, but you know,
Awesome.
hey, I think it's cool. I think this is one flower at a time, Flower Power.
I want my garden back now.
I know. I just want every botanical garden and nursery to have one too, just in general. It could be part of their displays, you know. It's like,
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. My mind goes crazy with things like this. It really does. I'm like everywhere.
Yeah,
Get them everywhere.
Well, if you're in Brooklyn at the New York Botanical Garden, they have a few. So we're getting ready to set those up at the beginning of next month. So if you're in that area, but if you're not, you know, maybe and you're listening, just give us a call and see if we can get you one.
Cool. Yeah. Everyone
or go to our
again.
website and order it.
Yeah, livingcanopies.com. Go there, check it out. And again, BethesdaGreen.org. But before you both go, you know, I always like to have a fun question. And today's fun question is, see, there's a thing about the umbrella. I feel like I want to take the umbrella and then stick it in a place and have my wine. Like, here it is. I'm going with my flower-powered umbrella, and I'm going to go to a new location. So my question to each of you is, okay, you're going to have wine time with the umbrella. Because it's Wednesday, right? You're going to take the umbrella somewhere cool that hot because you need to cool it down. But someplace that the umbrella is not currently, and you want to take that umbrella, sit down with the flowers and the wine and the umbrella. So where would that be, and who are you going to have join you? So let's start with you, Adam, since you've been on the show for so long.
Oh God! Well, I'll tell you this. My wife right now is sitting on the back deck of our home with the door open. The cat's out there, presumably eating all the potted plants that are out there. And we have been having a very long-running conversation about getting some furniture on our deck, so we're not sitting on these hard metal chairs we have out there. And we need a living umbrella out there as well. So although it may seem hyper-local and maybe a little bit boring, I think I would like to get one of these living umbrellas on my deck right here in Washington, D.C., and open up a bottle of wine with my wife, who is waiting for this call to end so I can do just that. So I think I would keep it local and then take pictures and put it on social media so everyone knows that that's what we're doing.
Cool. Are you sticking with Mandevilla?
To be honest, whatever my wife wants. She's the real plant lover in the family, so she will tell me exactly what we can have.
Okay.
Well, all righty
Well
then.
done. Hey, listen, I just want to say this is a good Father's Day project, okay? Just saying, because I know
exactly.
like a lot of dads
right.
who garden. So, I get to put that plug in there.
And let me let me just say, as we're talking about this as well, and we were talking about getting them out to people, my mother lives in Texas, and she has a pool at the back of her house in the yard, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to. She needs one. There's no question about it. So for me, right here in D.C., but I'll send one down to Plano, Texas as well.
I hate to say this, but all my exes in Texas need one, and there's a lot. Hey, listen, that was a dad joke. Come on. It's their Father's Day. I know it's just saying. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Dave, I want to go back to you. So where are you taking your umbrella?
First of all, this is a really, really great question. I think since it's wine and I love California. I love the climate there. I think I'd have to go to wine country, to either Sonoma or Napa, and have a nice Cabernet or Merlot, sipping on it with and of course I'd take my family. So maybe for Father's Day even.
Yeah. Okay. Now listen, have you been to Temecula wine country yet?
I have not.
Okay, I'm bringing that up on purpose because we have a lot of winemaking friends out there, and friends.
And they need umbrellas.
And they need you, and the Mandeville will grow beautifully out there.
That would be awesome.
So, are you sticking with Mandeville when you go to California? Or are you going to get the wineries to put grapes on it?
So much fun.
Man, I think we want to explore all the possibilities on plants. I mean, we think there's probably 50 vine species, easily maybe 150 that we would just love to try. The Mandeville is our go-to plant. Not only does it attract the hummingbirds, but it flowers all season long, which is the great thing about it. It's producing flowers continuously, doesn't stop. So it's hard to beat for color. But I'm an experimentalist. I would like to try something else, maybe like some pink bower vine or some Carolina jasmine when I get to California.
Nice. This is so awesome.
You
How
can
much
make
fun!
like a whole hedge of it.
I know.
It would be so much fun.
I love it.
My umbrella hedge.
I want to give a shout out also, Margot Carrera, fine art nature photographer. If everyone go to CarreraFineArt.com, that's CarreraFineArt, CarreraFineArt.com, for sponsoring today's episode. Amazing photographer, flower-powered photographer. We've known her since day one when we opened our magazine, and she's based in San Diego. And is always photographing flowers and ladies, beautiful scarves and photos and, all kinds of art, all kinds of good gifts. So check that out, everyone. Thank you, Dave and Adam, for joining us. Again, everyone, the website is BethesdaGreen.org, and also go to LivingCanopies.com. And we're going to play the song. I know, Adam, you've heard this because we always like to play it for you. It's Loving the Land from our friend Wally Lawder, because it's true. We got to love our land.
That's right.
And do it with flower power and wine.
The only one we got.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you. See you next month.
See you soon.
I enjoyed it.
Well, I'm sitting on my back porch, my guitar in my hand, and I'm looking at the afternoon. I'm looking at the land. It's got that honey-colored light, golden rose reflecting from the sun. She steps outside and asks me, "What are you doing, hon?" And I'm loving the land. I'm just loving the land. I'm loving the land. I'm just loving the land. Got an angel in my corner, must have a Buddha at my side. And if I had any worries, I've left them all behind. Maybe it's the time of day, maybe it's the light. Blame it on the air I'm breathing, but I couldn't feel more right. And I'm loving the land. I'm just loving the land. I'm loving the land. I'm just loving the land. Afternoon light on a simple corner lot in a humble town, waiting for the sun to go down. loving the land. I'm loving the land. I'm just loving the land. This land is your land, my land. From California to New York to the Fiji Islands. I'm loving the land. I'm just loving the land.